In the 1990s, gaming itself was on the rise, with titles such as Resident Evil, Super Mario 64, The Legend of Zelda, and Final Fantasy VII. Video games had experienced a huge growth in popularity. With an estimated $7.4 billion generated during 1999, a 20% increase over 1998, it was clear that in this period, video games were increasingly beginning to have a huge influence in people's lives, prompting many people to take the initiative and create games themselves. However, this story tells a dark tale of one game developer who risked it all, leading up to the murder of his own daughter. In 1989, a game development company by the name of Minecraft Software was founded by developer Ali Atabek. The company had released a total of 15 games during 1989 and 1997. Minecraft Software was known for putting out minor hits such as the award-winning game The Magic Candle and other relatively unknown titles such as Siege. Although most of the company's history was normal, one thing that did stand out was one of their lead developers, a man by the name of Larry Froistad. Larry Froistad had worked as a lead programmer for Minecraft Software in his mid-20s. He had worked on games such as Ambush at Soranor, Walls of Rome, Siege, and a few other unpopular titles. As Minecraft Software's role in the industry was coming to a close, a studio by the name of Interplay Productions, known for being a part of games such as Fallout and Star Trek, had a small part of their team dedicate one of their games to him after hearing about a tragedy related to his family. After the family tragedy occurred, Larry Froistad had left the industry to work for Sony. While having a promising and stable career as a professional software developer and a large portfolio to back it up, Larry Froistad's future had looked very promising, but it all went wrong. In Bodmin, North Dakota, May 1995, a divorced man by the name of Larry Froistad had experienced a devastating house fire, leading to the death of his 5-year-old daughter by the name of Amanda Froistad. Escaping unharmed, Larry was present and witnessed the whole event, in which the authorities had determined was an accident. This, as a natural tragedy, had been devastating for Larry. Although this event didn't gain any press nationally, he had earned sympathy from many friends and family members, even having a game dedicated to him. From there, Larry Froistad had used drinking as a means to cope with the tragedy, eventually joining an online group dedicated to reducing alcohol consumption, which is where events came full circle. In March 1998, a woman by the name of Elisa was on an online chat group made with the purpose of helping problem drinkers. The point of the group was to allow individuals to talk to others about advice related to problem drinking. Although most of the people did not consider themselves alcoholics, the chat contained about 200 members, and the members of the group were able to choose whether or not they wanted to stay anonymous. The structure of the chat was similar to many online emails at the time. When a person sends a message, it gets forwarded to the whole group. Elisa, being a problem drinker herself, had a special attachment to the group and would check the chat regularly. Elisa knew Larry as a frequent poster who had constructed a webpage for the chat group, which contained pictures of chat members, including pictures of Larry, his daughter, and his ex. On March 21st, Larry had posted that he was drinking too much and that his girlfriend left him. When members came to support Larry, Larry had insisted that he was a worthless person, to which he had then admitted to murdering his daughter without providing context. As soon as Lisa wrote back to Larry, Larry had responded admitting that he had been drunk and set his house on fire following a custody battle with his ex. The following message from Larry reads, "I let Amanda watch her favorite videos all night. Then after she fell asleep, I got drunk to death, set the house on fire, and went back to bed. I heard her scream twice, escaped through the window, and pretended to be startled, shocked, and upset to erase any feelings of guilt. Climbing out her window, retrieving her pajamas, listening to her breathe before placing her where I was sure she would perish, in order to get rid of her mother's interference. It was all part of the setting, on stage." Larry informed the group that his daughter's screams are what saved his life, causing him to escape. In the discussion, Larry expressed grief, saying that those moments were wounds to his soul that he can't heal and will always carry with him. As Larry posted his confessions, many people had replied back. Some people panicked, and some people had attempted to get close to Larry for support, Elisa noted. However, Elisa decided to take action in her own hands. Elisa contacted another member, whom for identity's sake she named Lucy. Both of them agreed to get the police involved. The police replied, telling Elisa about Larry Froistad's house fire, which had taken place 3 years ago. The police department themselves were shocked, considering Bodmin is a small town in North Dakota. It is no surprise that the police department knew Froistad and his family well. While the police cooperated with Lisa, Larry posted a few threads attempting to explain that he had imagined the event. One person, a professional therapist from New Jersey by the name of Frederick Rotgers, had suggested that Larry Froistad was mentally ill and that the child probably never existed. Although Rotgers' role in the moderation management chat was mostly being an informative source, many individuals in the chat were inclined to trust and believe Dr. Rotgers because of his background as a psychologist. At this time, Elisa's companion Lucy had mistakenly sent a message to Rotgers, talking about his bad attitude, in which Rotgers had replied to the entire list, explaining how the child likely did not exist, and his 25 years of experience as a therapist had allowed him to read people. The following message from Rotgers reads, Larry, several folks have sent me private emails expressing genuine concern over some of the stuff that you've posted recently. They are concerned that you might be contemplating suicide or other drastic, harmful, and ultimately counterproductive actions aimed at dealing with what seems to be a horrible situation for you. I'm writing for all the folks who wrote me off licks, and I believe for all the folks on the list to urge you to seriously think about contacting a therapist and working things through with yourself in a safe manner. Take care of yourself, my friend, and let us all know how things are going. The people here really care about you. Rotgers himself did not notify the police, since he was already quoted as believing the child was dead, displaying belief in Froistad's confession. However, later, Rotgers was quoted in a New York Times article, stating that he had no basis for knowing whether or not it was true. A clear contradiction, which was noted by other psychologists who criticized him. Rotgers received tons of backfire from other professionals for his lack of competence regarding the situation. The founder of Moderation Management, Audrey Kishlin, had similarly overlooked the behavior of Larry Froistad. The following statement from Elisa reads, Meanwhile, feeling I needed advice, I phoned the founder of Moderation Management, Audrey Kishlin, and told her what was going on. I expected she would understand what I had done and support me. Instead, she was shocked to learn that the police were involved. She admitted that she hadn't wanted to go to the authorities in part because of possible adverse publicity. Our controlled drinking support group was controversial enough already, Audrey felt, and besides, she added, what's done is done. I mean, the child has been dead for a while, hasn't she? Weeks later, she insisted that she was not sure if the crime actually happened, or whether it was our responsibility to do anything about it. Audrey Kishlin, the owner of Moderation Management, had considered not saving the archive, maintaining the idea that reporting Froistad's confession to the police was not their job. Kishlin had expressed that she had wanted to protect the reputation of Moderation Management, also saying, what's done is done, and the child has been dead for a while anyway. After the situation aired publicly, both Kishlin and Rotgers were under fire. Many individuals were shocked by the lack of confidence and empathy the chat had displayed during the confession. Out of the 200 people included in Moderation Management that observed Larry Froistad's confession, only 3 people called the police. A member on the list, named Jim Shark, was one of the people who contacted the police, and once members of the chat found out, he was ridiculed. Here is part of a message one member sent in response to Jim. Just how big of a pervert are you? I bet you really get off to talking to the FBI. Wow, did you ask them if you could see their guns? The story of this event and the lack of action which occurred during the confession shocked many individuals, leading other professionals to write books and articles using this situation as a harsh example of the bystander effect. Larry's ex-wife, named Ann, who resided in South Dakota, was only allowed to see her child Amanda over the summer, while Amanda would stay with her father for the rest of the year in Bodmin, North Dakota. When residing in South Dakota with her mother, Amanda was placed in daycare. Ann was notified by daycare providers that Amanda Froistad had displayed aggressive behavior. The situation was so bad that the daycare explained that Amanda would no longer be allowed to stay in the daycare if the behavior continued. Amanda responded by taking her child to a counselor, in which Amanda herself had described to the counselor that she was being molested by her father, to which the counselor reported this to the South Dakota Child Welfare Agency, which is required by law. However, since the incident had occurred in a different state, the investigator had referred the case back to Bodmin, North Dakota, in which social worker Connie Klein was told not to investigate the case because it was out of the state's jurisdiction. In the following months, Ann tried again and again to pursue justice in the situation. She tried getting the custody order changed and reporting police and was denied with no avail. The only thing Ann was able to do was request a legal courtesy interview, which was conducted between Connie and Larry, but nothing came of it. When Amanda returned to her father Larry in December, both the teachers and the neighbors of Amanda had reported to Connie about Amanda's lack of proper clothing during the winter. Amanda's behavior at school was becoming a concern to everyone, since she was also wetting herself. However, despite these complaints, nothing was done about the situation. This continued to happen until 5 months later, in May 1995, where Amanda had perished in a house fire. After the fire, Larry moved to San Diego, and Amanda was buried. After Larry's confession, the FBI did their own investigation of Larry Froistad, and what was found was shocking. Investigators had contained emails and transcripts where Larry admitted to individuals online that he had sexually abused his 5-year-old daughter. Along with that, investigators were able to seize hundreds of images of child pornography from Larry's computer, some of which included his daughter. Investigators had found that Larry had frequent activities on chat rooms for pedophiles. He also frequently traded child pornography with other pedophiles online. Here is one of the online messages investigators were able to retrieve. The fact is, I had too close of a relationship with her. It was sexual, and I know that's wrong, but she loved me, and I loved her, and I don't know what to do now. In the case, it was revealed that Larry had often fondled with his daughter when putting her to sleep. Investigators had also retrieved a video on Larry's computer in which they had identified a minor involved in sex acts with an adult. As a warrant was put out for his arrest, Froistad had turned himself into authorities on March 27, 1998. In the trial, Froistad had attempted to explain that he did not commit the murder and that he was under the influence of drugs during his confession, which was a clear contradiction noted by authorities. Larry was sent to 40 years in prison, with an extra 10-year federal sentence for trafficking in child pornography. He will be eligible for parole in 2038, where he will be 70 years old. Amanda had sued South Dakotan social workers in both states for failing to protect Amanda when concerns were raised. Bowman County Social Services were ordered to pay Amanda's mother $100,000, including her estimated legal cost of $6,000. The owner of Moderation Management, Audrey Kishlin, had separated from Moderation Management in 2000, deciding it was best to continue her alcohol-related goals in abstinence. Shortly after, in March, Kishlin was driving a truck down the road. While drunk, she swerved down into the wrong lane, killing 2 people, a father and his daughter. She was sentenced to 54 months for vehicular homicide. She was released after serving 3.5 years of her 4-year sentence. Kishlin continued to drink after being released from prison, and her relationship with her family was left in pieces. She divorced her husband and struggled to find work due to the fact that she was a convicted felon, until she finally found work at a dry cleaner's not too far away from her house. Years later, Kishlin co-authored a book and developed a friendship with the mother and wife of the victims of the car accident. Afterwards, Kishlin had mostly went inactive on social media until 2014. Kishlin's final Facebook post was on November 10, 2014. Talk about a challenge. I have now quit smoking every night. That's right. Full of determination. I can do it. No problem. Then morning dawns. A little voice says, just one more. That's all. I promise. Then I'll stop. For sure. Blah de blah. I'll keep you posted. Even though I don't want to. This is scary stuff. I mean it. Totally terrifying. Audrey Kishline later committed suicide on December 19th, 2014, at the age of 59. The death of Amanda Froistad and the story leading up to her father's imprisonment teaches us a lesson about handling signs and concerns when they appear. If the concerns of the teachers and neighbors and mother of Amanda were addressed, there is a chance her death could have been prevented. That is the end. Please like and subscribe if you would like to see more content in the future. My socials are down in the description. Thank you for watching.